Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whichever applies. This is a bit of a strange one, this one, because I'm going live. And I've had people asking me a few questions, so this is hopefully going to put everything into perspective. And hopefully, since I'm going live, I'm hopefully going to am working. Okay, now you're probably wondering why this kind of video here is just a bit and piece of everything and anything. And it will fill you in on a few things. This is just me talking just off the cuff. Clear the mind. Okay. One, as some of you ain't aware, some of you are aware, I make it pretty obvious on in my Facebook stuff and all that I have what you class, not nowadays, but what you class as Asperger's syndrome. It comes under the umbrella of autism. Now, I live in Faryiryland as my little icon down the bottom of the screen, and as it was showing there earlier at the beginning. Now, living with autism / ASD / Asperger's syndrome, and I will class it as Asperger's syndrome because that's what I've known it as, and I don't really care about some German whose name was the name of Asperger's, who committed hurry-curry on people in the Second World War. That has nothing to do with me, has nothing to do with anything else. So if you don't like the name of Asperger's syndrome, stiff. It's not my problem, it's yours. Plain and simple. Now, another one here. I don't know how long this is going to go for. Hopefully short. But anyway, I live with Asperger's syndrome. Not a problem at all. I live by myself in the middle of nowhere. Literally, I live by myself in the middle of nowhere. I am on the edge of the outback here in Australia. My closest neighbour is over 1 kilometre away. My closest town to me is over, 1 kilometre is 0.6 of a mile for the American version, if you want to stick in your miles. Anyway, there goes half of my population of subscribers already gone there. Anyway. Okay, so my closest neighbour is half a mile away, 0.6 of a mile, 1 kilometre. I live on my property. I do what I need to do. And I really don't give two hoots and a red's asshole of what everyone else thinks of me and whatnot. The ones who do know me and do understand the way I am, I have no problems with. Now, this is a bit of a rant sort of kind of thing, in a fashion. Now, also, as you can see with my little icon in the bottom corner, I'm also an amateur radio operator. My licence call sign is VK4 Golf Romeo Bravo. I've been a licensed amateur since July 1996. That doesn't mean I'm new to the radio system. I'm new to the video system. You know, doing the videos and that. I've only been doing that for a couple of years. But anyway, I live with Asperger syndrome, or ASD as people want to call it nowadays. Don't ask me why. They want to shorten things. I thought the Australians like shortening things, but they want to shorten things. Because they don't like the word Asperger's. Stiff. Anyway, that's one part. Right, now, to put it in simple words, my mind is totally different to yours. I do not care about people. I really do not care about people. I mean, people die, people go, oh, yeah, they're dead. Yeah, well, it's a bloody part of life. My wife died. Everybody chucked a bar at me because I didn't feel sorry for it. I don't really care. I wish she was here. I really do. But it's a part of life. And if people can't understand that you are born, you live, you die, it's a quarter circle of life. You know, the way I look at death is, it's going to come. I don't really care. The average person doesn't want to talk about death. Too bloody scared. Ooh! It is, you know, it's bloody ridiculous. You're born, you live, you die. End of story. That's it in a nutshell. And put it this way, okay, you go and kick the bucket, right? You're bloody there lying down doing nothing, right? You haven't... When is the only time you see your relatives? It's either at births, deaths, or marriages. That's the only time you ever see family. You know, in a big group. And then they spread bullshit. And I do, man, they spread bullshit. You know, oh, he was a good fellow in his life. No, he's not. I bet you go back through, there's a lot of bloody cobwebs. You know, there's quite a few blooming little cabinet areas which no one has done a perfect life. No one's done a good life. They might have lived for ages. You know, sometimes people live too long. Some not long enough. You got no use-by date. You don't know when you're going to expire. Right. Okay, that will get me off the series of the death part of everything, right? So everybody's right with that. I really don't give two shits about living or dying. For myself here, I live by myself, as I said. It's going to be a couple of weeks before anyone realises, shit, I haven't heard Gary around. You know, by that time I could be decaying somewhere on the property. Do you reckon I worry about it? No. Okay, next lot. As I said, I'm an amateur radio operator. I've been an amateur radio operator, as I said before, since 1996. But I didn't start as an amateur operator. I started in radio. I worked in a blooming... I started at the age of 8. What were you doing at the age of 8? Riding your push bikes? Possibly having a bit of, you know, clowning around and all that. No, I worked at a blooming recording studio. I learnt how to blooming use a mixer and run tapes and edit tapes, and this is all sound, nothing to do with, You know, I met plenty of bands in my time. You know, and during those times, I was also involved with radios, as in transceivers. Well and truly before the CB craze. CB came out in Australia in 1974. That was the first time it got legalised. It got deregistered, delegalised in 1994. It went to a collect. And all shit hit the fan, totally. All the bloomin' nerds and dickheads and God knows what were on there, and I just couldn't be bothered with them. I still ain't bothered with them. I have got all these radios under the sun, but I'm never on 27 megs. Leave the dickheads to the dickheads. The bloody Chook band. Or bloomin', you know, the crazy bloomin' stuff. Anyway, that was where I started off from. Prior to 1974. That was 1968. Is when I got my first radio. And I was a pirate. Yes, totally a pirate. And I was a pirate in quite a few places. I've met quite a few people in my time. In the 70s, I had VK4BAD. He was watching me build a transmitter for a local radio station. The local radio station was an FM community station to start off with. Started off in a 10 by 10 little garden shed. Nothing to blooming talk about or anything like that. It had a maximum output of power of 100 watts, which for a community radio station for the local area, that was good. Then they went up in size. They went to, let's see now. Sorry about that there. See? Hang on a second. Okay, this is Victor Kilo 4 Golf Romeo Bravo. Hang on. I don't even know which frequency they were on. I wasn't watching, so I won't worry about that. Okay, I'll put that one back in the scan. You'll probably pick up who it was somewhere along the line. Anyway, with that lot there, stand by. VK4GCR, VK4 Golf Romeo Bravo. Were you calling me there, Ralph?
Yeah, I heard you talking this morning a little bit earlier, but I got sidetracked on HF. Just wanted to pop up and say good day. I haven't heard you for a while there, back to you.
Oh, okay. Well, I better explain something at the moment. At the moment, I'm live on YouTube doing a live broadcast. And now I'm talking to you on radio, so you never know what's going to happen when you go live, do you, fellas? Yeah, no worries there. Okay, give me about half hour and I'll give you a call back. That would be the easiest way on that one there. VK4GCR, VK4GRB.
Okay, sorry about that, my friend. Take care. I'll call you about half an hour. VK4GRB, VK4GCR, clear.
Oh, don't apologise. You're making it interesting for the ones who are watching. Hi. Okay, 7-3. Take care of yourself, VK4GRB. Okay, there. I'll turn actually them down at the moment. That would be the easiest way, wouldn't it? See? You never know what's going to happen here. Right, okay, where were we? Oh, okay. Now, with Asperger syndrome, this is about Asperger syndrome if you haven't worked it out already. And my life with it. Now, we are with Asperger syndrome. Most people, well, when I was growing up, I was classed as a simpleton, stupid, idiot. One of those people you really don't want to know about. You know, would I go to a special school or could I get into mainstream? This was all the questions I was asking when I was going to school. You know, should I be there? Should I not? Because no one knew about Asperger's at that time, or very little knowledge of it. You know, most of us guys are called Aspies. And as you look and you see on my logo there, I am Dippy TV. My nickname is Dippy. Why is it Dippy? Okay, here's another one. It is Dippy for a reason. The reason is, in my earlier days, I used to muck around with motors, cars, hot rods, all the crazy things, you know. No such thing as a standardised vehicle in my life. And so every time someone seen me, I was covered in oil, you know, pair of old overalls covered in oil. And my build, I'm 5'10", and I weigh 55 kilos, which is 110 pounds in for the Yanks. Okay, so you can figure out what's okay. So where did the nickname of Dippy come from? Let's see, my build, and I didn't like the idea of being called a dipstick. I literally didn't. So, but I'm Dippy by name, Dippy by nature. So I kept the word Dippy. My nickname's always been Dippy. Depending on where you go in Australia, people down in Victoria, in my hometown, know me as Dippy. People up in Maryborough, they're Bitzer. They know me as Dippy, and some of them know me as Gary. Literally here in Faryiryland, when I do meet people, they just know me as Gary. You know, I've got no problem at all on being called Dippy, because that's my nickname. I've lived with it for 50 odd years. But anyway, that's another lot. We're back on the radios again. Radio-wise. Okay, radio. Easiest part on that one is I enjoy my amateur radio. I run D-Star, DMR, Wires X, which is C4FM. They're all digital modes. Yeah, earlier times I ran packet, which is virtually, okay, for the layman person, packet is a facsimile. Put it this way, I will tell you straight out, what you can do with your phone, I could do with my radios. I could send text, I could talk to people, I could send photos. I talked to the International Space Station. Yes, I talked to the astronauts up in the International Space Station. I have the use of 25 satellites where I could use. I'm what you class as advanced licensed. That means there is 3 license classes in amateur in Australia. Foundation gives you a little bit of just about all the bands. Just about all the bands, but it's only a little bit and a little bit of power. It's the bottom run on the ladder. The next one is standard. Standard gives you a bit more power and a few extra frequencies, but not all. Now, I'm advanced. I can run maximum amount of power which I'm allowed to run in Australia. I'm allowed to run on any of the amateur frequencies which are listed for Australia. I have no restrictions. Now, I also run some links up to a local repeater. They're turned off at the moment. Now, here comes the good part. They're turned off at the moment. Why are they turned off at the moment? The easiest part is that I've got no problem at all switching them on. Not a problem at all. They use, for the digital side of things, they use my internet. I've got no problems of that. I use my internet. What it's going to utilise for the radios is a little drop in the bucket, a little, a drip in the bucket. In other words, it's not going to bother me, right? I got informed. Now, I live with the phrase of, I help all clubs but a member of none. Now, I used to stick to that rule years ago, where I would help all clubs out, but I never actually joined one. Now, I'm in 2 clubs at the present time. I'm in Merge, which is the Maryborough Electronics Radio Group, which I'm one of the founding members of. Now, and I'm also with the Bunya Mountains and District Amateur Radio Club, which at the present time I'm the repeater coordinator and I'm the president. I have informed our secretary of the club that I am stepping down from all positions I hold at the next AGM. People wonder why I'm doing all these kind of things. I have not been to a club meeting this year at all. There is reasons for that. Some of it is radio related. Some of it is just parts of life. Radio related side of it is that if I do something with the radio, you are 100% guaranteed that it will be on air, noise-free, as best as my ability to make it work. I will not put on under broadcast quality from my location. Now, that I've run with everything I've done. My slow scan TV. I've made sure when I had the repeaters up and operating from my place, it was totally noise free. My background noise in the studio here at the present time while I'm talking should have been noise-free. Unfortunately, I left the volume up on the radio, and as you guys heard, it came through. Something different. But I will not have a radio going while I'm talking on another radio. I'll mute every other radio I have. They'll be all silent. So the only thing you hear is my voice. You don't hear people yak, 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 in the background. One, it's very annoying, but no one tells you that because they don't want to upset you, because you are very upsettable. Oh, don't like him. As I said, I've got Heckle and Jekyll down the road or over the other side of the hill. You know, they think they could, you know, I've had to pull them up twice because they were swearing. Oh, okay, no problems. I don't mind it. I swear myself. I can swear like the bloody trooper. You know, bloody I don't give two hoots about. But when it comes to the rougher languages or racism, you know, I put my foot down. I blasted the crapper out of these two, Heckle and Jekyll. One of them was a pom. Okay, he was English. He said to one of the guys, he said, I've told him we should get back to his own country. I got on there and I says, well, how would you like me, seeing you're a pom, to tell you to get back to your own country? You will not like it. You would think it's insulting. So why should you tell somebody else when you're an immigrant? Mind you, we are all immigrants unless you're an Aboriginal. Oh, well, there goes 99% of my viewers again. I mean, I do not hold, I do not hold grudges. I do not hold anything on people. I live my life the way I'd like to treat people, and the way that people should treat me, with respect. I do not expect to hear people talking crap on radios, especially when it's covered under a guideline of you're supposed to be acting like gentlemen or ladies, because there are ladies also involved in it all. And gentlemen, it's supposed to be, they're supposed to act, reasonable. These two, Heckle and Jekyll, I could put their right names in there and really embarrass them, but I won't. But Heckle and Jekyll, they know who I'm talking about anyway. I don't keep anything bloomin' secret. I'm not bloomin' the one who's scared to bloomin' say what I want, because 90% of the time, I'm right. There is a couple of times I'm not. But anyway, as I said, it's one of those ones where, they think, they can say whatever they want. Mind you, as I said, if it's a closed frequency where the public cannot hear you, that is feasible because it's a closed frequency. That doesn't mean everybody's got to go and swear. The amateur radio fraternity is semi-closed. Yes, you have to have a license to be on there. You've got to pass exams. You've got to do all this and all that to get to it. But it is open to the public to listen. Now, Heckle and Jekyll really don't care how far they want to bring radio down. they want to take it down to the CB level, to the bloomin' chook band level. That's their point of view. Okay. That is not what the amateur stuff is. Okay, next lot is, I'll get off them ones. They've already had their say. Next lot is, okay, I'm still with Asperger's. Still with Asperger's syndrome. I'm going to have that all my life. Now, with it too, is that you have, what have I done in my life? Let's see. I've excelled in quite a lot of things. Quite a lot of things I've excelled in. I've met Princess Anne. Literally have met Princess Anne. I'm not a royalist, but I was in St John's Ambulance for a number of years. I was told to go to Government House to have a audience with Princess Anne, and I was given a few items. A set of cufflinks, to be exact, with the St John's Ambulance signature on it. Why? Because she was a patron of St John's Ambulance. Okay, no problems. I've seen death, as I go back to this death part. I've seen dead people in all different ways being there. I joined the ambulance brigade when I was 10 years old. Yeah, 10 years old. Or was I 8? I think I was 8. Same time as I got involved with radio and all that. My life didn't exist until I was 8 years old, virtually. That's the easiest way to put it. Anyway, 1977, 1975, 76, I left the ambulance brigade in 76. I've seen people in places you wouldn't really want to see. Most of them were dead. Some very seriously injured. One there was at 10 o'clock in the evening, put a flashlight through a window of a car, and here's a bloke with his head halfway through a steering wheel. No worries on that. I was with the CFA, the Country Fire Authority. We had Ash Wednesday. Now, for some of you young ones don't know what Ash Wednesday was. It was back in 1983. Ash Wednesday. South Australia, Victoria, all up in flames. Some in New South Wales. It was all in flames. I was a firefighter then. Most of my time I spent down in the coal fields. 3 weeks of it I was spent in the blooming coal fields, doing spraying water on the coal fields, trying to get the fires out, which was burning the coal fields. No problem there. I left the fire brigade in 85, somewhere like that. Wasn't long with them, only for about 4 years, give or take. Mind you, I've got all this listed down in my biology. Now, another thing with Asperger's syndrome is, yes, we are smart, but one, we do not do eye contact very well. We don't look at people. When I talk to people, I'm looking at their mouth. I don't look at their eyes, I look at their mouth. That's the closest thing I could do to looking in a person's eyes. Because I don't, someone will say something to me there and I'll listen. And I'll listen for a while, no problems. But I don't get any of it until I go to sleep. While I'm asleep, things are going through my mind and I get the ideas of what's happening. Okay, where were we? I decided in what was it, 86, 87, something like that. Decided to go and sit for my amateur license. Mind you, as I said, I'm a licensed amateur since 1996. So probably 10 years prior to it, I sat for my second one. No study, no nothing. It was AOCP. That was it. It's either I get my AOCP, which is Amateur Operator's License of Proficiency. That was the only goal I was hunting for. I didn't want to be a novice because there was only 4. There was 1974, 73. 1974, 73, there was only one license condition. That was AOCP. In 1973, they brought in what they classed as novice. And at the same time, they brought in limited and as well as combined. Now, this depended on how much of the theory and all that you passed. AOCP was always the goal, and that was it. I didn't want anything else. It had to be AOCP. I actually went for my first license test back in 1968. Being for an amateur. Then you had to write things down and all that. With the little bit of knowledge which I knew at that time, of course, I failed. But there was a catch though. I could not actually sit for a license in 1968. Because you had to be the age of 16 to have your license. I was only 8 years old. So, no problems. I didn't get my license when I first wanted to go for it because I wasn't old enough. I was smart enough, but I wasn't old enough. I decided then, as I said, I went through the years just on Citizens Band. In 1987, 86, somewhere around there, I sat for me AOCP, and I missed out by a couple of questions. No problem. And didn't bother about it for a little while because I was still on radio. I was on Citizens Band at the time. I was doing slow scan TV via this is well and true. Okay, let's go back early. You know, you hear people about riding motorbikes, push bikes, not motorbikes. I wasn't old, even though I had a motorbike, I wasn't old enough to drive one. But I had a CB radio mounted on my push bike. I had a 6-foot helical whip mounted on my pack rack with a battery. 2 dynamos. Why 2 dynamos? Because I needed 12 volts to charge up the battery. Dynamos are only 6 volts. So I had to arrange them so they made 12 volts through a diode coupling. And I ran two dynamos on my wheels. Now, for the people who are pre or post dynamo era, it's like you're dragging about half a dozen bricks behind you on your push bike. That's the amount of drain it takes to run one of those things, kind of like, and you're running them off your feet. But I had radios on my push bike. I had radios, I had amateur radio and, no, I didn't have the amateur radio in the sidecar. Or did I? No, I didn't. I was only Citizens Band stuff. I had radios on my motorbike. I had a base station at home. And prior to 1974, all my antennas were under a tiled roof. I had beams in the roof cavity. I had 3-element beams pointing in different directions. I had whip radios, whip antennas, helical whips, all in this roof console because it was illegal. Even after 74, you weren't allowed to have a radio. You weren't allowed to have a beam for a couple of years. I had beams before they even had radio licenses. I had 120 foot bloody long wires. Not for bloody receiving, neither. Oh, they were for receiving, but they also ran for transmitting as well. Now, hang on a second. Now, why would I want 120 feet of long wires? Anyway, won't go into that one. I had 2 amateurs living above me. Not literally above me. I lived on the bottom of a hill. I had 2 amateurs sitting up the top of the hill. VK4HV silent key. George. And he was on my side of the hill. Then you had Bob. He was on the other side of the hill. Sorry, I can't recall Bob's call sign. Anyway, George was easy to get on with, no problems at all, no hassles. Bob, he had a bit of a grudge because the 27 megas took their band. Mind you, as I said, I was talking on those bands well and truly beforehand. But anyway, won't go into that lot. Not too much anyway. As I said, I'm not a hypocrite. I do not tell people what they can and can't do on the radio to a certain degree. One is I don't tell them that they can't run out of band or anything like that. That's on their if they want to run out of band, that's their prerogative. They could take the consequences and all that, but I'm not going to tell them they can't because I did it. And that's the way it goes. Nowadays, mind you, I do not swear, as I said. I do not swear on a radio. I will not swear on a radio. I do not expect anyone to swear on a radio. And I do not expect anyone to use racial terms on a radio. But anyway, that's I've been through that lot, reason why before. Okay. I um, over the years I've done a lot of things. Dragged cars. At the moment there, what am I doing at the present time? I've got a 1968 model Stout. It started off with a 4-cylinder, 900 and something cc's. It's now got a 2.4 litre in it. What have I got sitting in the shed at the moment? I got a VN non-turned key, a VN supercharged motor, built to my standards, waiting to go into a Stout, which is supposed to only have a 4-cylinder motor in it. Anyway, as I said, none of my stuff is stock standard when it comes to vehicles. People look at me because I openly tell people I've got Asperger's syndrome, or I'm part of the autistic society. I've got no problems of telling people that I'm autistic, because I bloody well am. I can't change that. But I do really put my foot down when people think I am friggin' well bloody an idiot. Come back to why am I not been to a radio club meeting in this year? Okay, for one, I've never heard any of the club members say that they want to put on anything they want to do. I used to give them suggestions. Go hop in a park. Get to put some antennas up in a park. Get the community into it. Goes in this ear and out this one. Slow scan TV. Who wants to do slow scan TV? Or ATV, amateur television. This is virtually what I'm doing at the moment. It's amateur television. But I'm not doing it via radio, I'm doing it via YouTube. But we could do it via radio. As I said before, what you could do with your mobile phone, I could do with my radio. You want to send faxes or text? I can send faxes or text. You want to send photos? I can send photos. You want to send a video? I can send a video. Yours is all by phone. Mine is all by radio. Years ago, what did I have? Okay, my youngest son. My youngest son, when he was born, I had a phone call from one of my neighbours. No, start again. I had a phone call from my wife in hospital after the event. During that time, I was talking to a couple of the guys up here in Queensland, because I live down in Victoria. And I had a thing called phone patching. That's where you take a phone, hardwire it into a spot, and nowadays you Bluetooth it all, and you put it in line with your radio. And what did I do? Oh, hang on, fellas. And I had my mate up here in Queensland and his wife coming via a radio to my place through my system, going back into and going into the phone lines. They talked for hours. It was a local phone call, but they talked for hours. No problems on that one. See, all these funny looking things, people think, oh, you can't do that. Well, anyway, going back to the club. I haven't been to the club this year. One is, okay, I was going to put Echo Link up on the system. No worries at all. I brought a new antenna for 2 meters. No worries. Okay, no problems. I'll do the same as what I normally do, just patch straight into the repeater. Yeah. Unfortunately, someone's head's got big. Not stating whose or anything or whatever's, but the head's got big. Oh, you got to go through the linking system. This is because they just put another repeater up in line and you got to go through a linking system. Okay. And the linking system is on what? Oh, it's on 70 centimeters. Now I am 67. Try again. I'll get the right one. I am 77.6. I'll get the right number, see, eventually. I am 77.6 kilometres as the crow flies from that tower. 2 meters, not a problem. I could hit it. Not a hassle. 70 centimeters. Yes, I could hit it, but it's not broadcast quality. And as I said earlier, I refuse to do anything which is not broadcast quality. That is my standards. I hear people blooming crackle, crackle, crunch, crunch. Most people nowadays who've got amateur license can't understand on how come I could... Look, okay, my location here, it is beautiful for amateur radio. Why? Because at any time of the bloody day, I could talk to Gladstone, which is over 500 kilometres away. Any time of the day, I could talk to the Bundaberg and Bundaberg and linked repeater system. That's 300 kilometres away. No, 400 kilometres away. I mean, I've got the Central Highlands repeaters. They're 500 odd kilometres away. I'm not doing anything special. I could talk to the Sunshine Coast. The Sunshine Coast is my hardest bloody repeater to get hold of. It's 300 kilometres 400 kilometres as the crow flies. It's got to go over terrain. It's got to get over the divided range. But I could talk to the Sunshine Coast. Mind you, I cannot talk to the Gold Coast. I cannot talk into Brisbane. Those two are out. But I hear the guys in Toowoomba. They have their nets every morning, and all that. I hear the guys up in as I said, all the places from southeast all the way around to east northeast. I mean, I have got no problem at all with it. It is open to me. Yes, I did say I could get the Sunshine Coast. That is my hardest repeater. But I could access it. people don't realise, nowadays on how things are and what things are. What frequencies you could get things on and all that. Anyway, I'm rambling again. I was informed that I had to be on 70 centimetres to put it in through the link. At that time, I had a brand new 2-metre radio, mono band, designed brought especially for that one job. I didn't have a 70 centimetre band radio at that time. Yes, the club did come up and they did supply a radio, 25 watts. Unfortunately, 25 watts does not quite make it. Not with the antennas I was using. I had to increase the gain on my antennas. Right, no problems. As I said, no skin off my nose or anything like that. But if I was allowed to do what I had to do in the first place, I would have had no problems at all. Then I was told, can you bring it up to my place? No names, no pack drills or anything like that. And we'll set it all up at my place and make sure it's working properly for you. Now, hang on a second. I've been playing with this crap since 1968. You think I do not know how to operate and tune and organise volume levels and all that stuff? In front of me is what I'm running through at the moment to do this broadcast is a 9-channel audio mixer. A 4-channel video mixer. A switcher, actually. Not a mixer, it's a switcher. Right. I grew up in a recording studio. I spent most of my time, I owned 2 businesses. Both with electronics. And I haven't even left school. I was still at school at that time. One thing I do not like being done to is being treated like I am a friggin' imbecile or a dummy. I am neither of any of them. I am here to help whoever needs help. Not a problem at all. If I can answer the question and give them the advice they need, I will help them. I do not require someone to tell me to bring all my gear to their place so they can set up the stuff. Mind you, their stuff is not set up for it. That means that we need the internet to set it all up. That means we had to open up ports in their router and all go through all that stuff. Now, I know that all the port numbers and all that, I got all that in my head. That's no problems. But why should I travel and take all my gear 110 kilometres down the road to set it up and spend about a half a day to 3/4 of a day setting up a radio there, when all I've got to do is just do a slight little adjustment on the radio here, because the ports are open and the radio, everything is done. I do not like being treated as a friggin' imbecile. Yes, I do not like people. I've said that straight out. I do not like people. I do not like crowds. That's a part and parcel of being autistic. My brain does not work the same as yours. Doesn't mean I'm friggin' well bloody stupid. And I really don't give a fuck if I'm really telling people that. I really do not care. I've spent more years on radio than what you've been bloody born. Yes, there has been technology changes. Shit! What have I got? I run Wires X. I run C4FM, which is the same bloody thing. That all had to be programmed. I run bloomin' D-Star, DMR. They all got to be programs. I like to see some of you guys out there program a bloody DMR radio. From scratch, not knowing what you bloody got to do to it. Just bloody program it. I've got no one to bloomin' go and say, hello, can you help me? Why? Because there's no friggin' amateurs around here. My closest ones are either 110 kilometres that way, 70 odd kilometres that direction. There's a couple 55 kilometres down the road. But no, they're not doing what I'm doing. I do not want anyone to tell me that I need to take my radios to get bloomin' programs somewhere else. I have never have and I never will. Now I'm noticing at this time I've gone over an hour at the moment there. The Echo Link will come on eventually online. When I decide I want to walk up to the shed, which is 150 bloody metres up the paddock in the top paddock, and switch the bloody switch on, and it'll be up and operational. I've got no problem at all doing that. Same as me Wires X stuff. I have got 2 nodes on Wires X. 2 nodes. One is for the repeater. It's on its own node. The other one is my own personal one. There's what, $1,500 just in Wires X nodes and bloody radios. You know, not that's each. That is each. The radios are around about $500 odd. The HRI 200 box is another $300 odd. All the cabling and all that you got to bloomin' do and all that. You know. And then you got to have another radio to actually talk to that node. Because you can't. So that means you've got 2 radios. One is just sitting there listening and transmitting, doing nothing else. It's a dummy. But you've got to have another radio to talk to it. And I've got 2 of those nodes here. You know, I'd like to have I'd like to see people actually do something. You know, not criticise because, and I do mean not criticise. We're not all born with silver spoons. We're not all born with bloody, things. I learned everything from the ground up. From the what we class as the school of hard bloody knocks. You scrimped and you saved until you had what you needed. I'm still scrimping and saving. I live comfortably. Doesn't mean I'm bloody rich. I've got all these radios in front of me. I am blimmin' no problems at all. I am blimmin' rich as can be when it comes to assets. Cash-wise, no. Am I worried about that? No. Because being like that, you could do what you want to bloody well do. You don't have to listen to every Tom, Dick and blimmin' Harry. You like to be treated as a person. Back in Maryborough, okay. I moved into Maryborough in 1991. There was no radio club there at all. None at all. There was a CB club, in a fashion. Now, I sat on a couple of channels. This will be the last lot before I shut this lot down. It is getting on. Now, I had a couple of channels where I used to sit on. The reasons I changed was because of federal changes on frequencies and whatnot, and there was different radios come out. Anyway, since from 1991 onwards, gee, what was there? A nice pirate radio station on UHFCB. You wanted to put a request in, you name the song, I most likely had it. If there was any emergencies required or anything like that, they all knew to go to 14, or it was actually 22 to start off with. They all knew to go to 22 and put a call out for me. And I would inform whoever needed to be. That's another thing prior to this lot. Anyway, I'll get onto it as I'm coming through, because not prior, it's during. Okay, now the guys knew that I could be on channel 14, channel 22 at that time. 16 channel radios came out. Okay, it was no use me being on channel 22 when a 16 channel radio could not get up there. So I moved to channel 14. To me, it was a quiet channel. Nobody was operating on it. I listened for a couple of days. I didn't hear a damn bloody murmur on it. So I said, right, okay. I went to channel 14. There was another lot of operating on it. The fun parts of it. Anyway. Back in and going through, during that time, I joined the local SES, WOOCO, WOOCOO, not Maryborough. I didn't join the Maryborough SES, I joined the WOOCO SES, which is about 10 k's west of Maryborough. Anyway, I was with them from 1997 to 2010. Now, in that time, when I was involved with the amateur radios in 1997 as well. As I said, our unit had more amateurs in it than non-amateurs. We had more CB users running slow scan TV in Maryborough. It's because I did not look at somebody and says, they're a CBer. I did not look down on people. Yes, I was an amateur. What did I do in 1997 as well? I started doing the WIA News, the Wireless Institute of Australia National News, known back then as Q News. And that's what it was, Q News. Okay, so I done that for a while on 146-800 RBU, the Bundaberg and Gladstone linked repeater system. No problems on that one. At that time, I was in a caravan, which was my Radio Shack. It had 3 computers, 9 radios of all different types, and 1 microphone. From my switch console, I could operate 1 or more radios at a time. So what did I do? I transmitted on channel 14 UHF and 146-800 RBU with the Bundaberg and Gladstone linked repeater systems. You could go into Maryborough today, any Sunday, go into Maryborough. You will still hear a simulcast broadcast on 146-800 and channel 14. I had to teach the guys teach the people on how the things ran. I had to program and edit all the different parts for our area at that time. I left them with their own station ident and the breaks in between and all the other, the intro, the exit and the whole bloody lot. You listen to it all now. All I did is I just sent out a request, asked them to record what was written down on a piece of paper and send the file to me. Now, somewhere along the line, and I gave them the rebroadcasters at that time got their own personalised ID to run the WIA news on RBU and Channel 14. And up to today, you can still hear the news on both frequencies. Channel 14 UHF, same time, both news go out identically. There's no, the amateur radio news will go out at 9 o'clock. We'll make the other one go out at 10 o'clock. No, they both went simultaneously. What you heard on one, you heard on the other at the same time. And that was from this damn goof-off here who had nothing to do with radio or doesn't know what he's bloody well doing. But for some unknown reason, I'm treated like a fuckwit. I am nowhere near being a fuckwit. I've forgotten a hell of a lot more than what I know nowadays. Now, yes, I do have Asperger's syndrome. I live with it. I live my way the way I live. Yes, I probably could have gone another way around it. But people look, or they don't understand. For the people who are on my YouTube channels, not really so much YouTube, but the ones who are on my Facebook page or in my contacts, I send out the WIA news up to this day to the Facebook program. People in my contacts who asked for it. They get the news before the news comes out over the radio. They get it the same time as all the rebroadcasters get it. I have people on the phone who I SMS the news to. It's the link to where I am. I hold every damn recording of the news I have from when I first started. Not all open to the public. Actually, none of it is open to the public unless you've got the link for that week only. If you haven't got that week's link, you have got no access to it. If you require access to it, tell me what year, what episode. Here's a blooming good one. Tell me what year, what episode, and I'll go back through my files and I'll click on that link and send it to you. And that will allow you to have that episode over there. But if you're in my contacts, mainly if you're on the Facebook page, you don't see it on the Facebook page. But Facebook page, if you're watching it through an SMS or listening to it via an SMS, or you got notification of it, I should say, right on the bottom of the SMS, it says type stop if you do not want to receive, if you want to unsubscribe. No one has unsubscribed from me. They all get a copy of it whenever I finish them and downloading it, putting it onto my site, setting up the linking and put it on. I could guarantee I've got more copies of the WIA news on DVD, oh, not DVD, CDs, than what most of the other operators will have. Why? Because I live, eat, breathe radio. If I know nothing about radio, I will learn everything I need to know about it. What program, how to do it, what to do it. I can't read. I have grade 4 education. I've got no problems at all saying that I've got a grade 4 education. But I'm bloody well a lot smarter than what yous guys are. Anyway, I've gone an hour and 25 minutes just on of this rant. Now, some of yous might understand another one too before I finish off completely. This will finally bring it up to an hour and a half. Living with Asperger's also is living with depression. I mean, but there's no such thing that or whatever. The amount of times I've said to my daughter, I won't be here shortly. I've got no problems at all of if I can't wipe my ass, I will give up my own life. That's how much of a person I am, I will not bloody sit in a place where I cannot do what I want to do. If I feel like I am a burden on somebody, it's time for me to go. But this is not today. Because I'm not a burden on anybody. I can still wipe my ass. I do suffer with a hell of a lot of depression, but it's not been bad enough where I haven't been able to pull through it and bloody do stuff. Anyway, with that lot there, you've been listening to me ramble on for just over 1 hour and 26 minutes. I don't know if I'll be going to a club meeting. I'll probably do the same as I do in Maryborough. Just send the money in. Because nobody is listening and they want to get a club on the road. They need to get out in the friggin' public and show what you can do. Not sit at home and say, I do Jamboree of the Air. That's where I go to a scout camp. I take all my gear, set it all up there, and let the scouts and the cubs talk, and the girl guides and brownies, if there's still brownies there, and let them talk to other scouts and cubs of girl guides and brownies and whatnots and whatever that, from all around the world. Last year I couldn't do it. Did anyone else put their hands up? One person did. Never seen them. I think that was the year before. They won't get off their friggin' asses to wipe their own backside. They won't listen to any suggestions or anyone puts out because they don't want to do this, they don't want to do that. And they'll be the first ones that bloody will whinge and complain that the club's closing down or running out of money or something like that. Show a bit of bloody interest in your amateur radio stuff. Listen to blooming suggestions. Do what you got to do. Don't leave it just to one or two people like you bloody will think you do. I do it because I love it. I make up my mind what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. I'll put a thing on I'll get permission to put stuff on a repeater, and it will be will tell you one thing. It will not have any background noise unless it's not my fault. Because I will not let anything transmit out of my property here with any kind of background noise. That includes my videos. Now, you most likely listen to one of my weekly videos and you hear all that racket going off in the background. Unfortunately, that is not my doing. I would not like to have it, but unfortunately, it's there. I've got to live with that. It's not to my standards. But, as I said, I am taking it off another repeater. It's not coming from my station, it's coming to my station. I've got no control on that, unfortunately. But if people had the same kind of nous as I've got with my lot and try and work things out, I know they are. But they're trying to work things out and get things running and all that stuff. But please, if someone puts up a suggestion, look at it. Do it. Don't leave it to the one person who's saying, oh, put up their hand and do it. The Maryborough Club, it started off with what? Me talking on a radio, helping people out. I mean, I wasn't a member of the WIA at that time when I done the news. I was an amateur, yes. The bloke who was doing the news at that time couldn't do it due to family commitments. No problems. I'll step in. I'll do it. That meant I had to make all my own IDs and everything up prior to it all. You know, Maryborough Electronics Radio Club or group, merge, there were 17 founders. There was only one true person who really bloomin' kicked it off. The rest followed and seen the way it was going, and they hopped in. Without the 17 members at the first initial bloomin' meeting, and what did I do for their first event? Give them a bloody 24-hour-a-day bloomin' bike, bloomin' 24-hour race. Push bike race in the main street of bloody Maryborough. Okay, fellas, where was I at the time? I was up in Bundaberg doing a smut bloomin' eradication program. I was trying to organise bits and pieces via SMSs on the phone to organise this 24-hour bike race, bits and what we required, what we needed, who we do, what we're doing and whatnot, and all the other bits and pieces. Plus I was doing the other stuff with the SES at that time. Or I could have been up in no, I was doing the smut. Pretty sure I was doing the smut eradication in Bundaberg at that time. That was sugarcane smut for anyone who wanted to know. Anyway, you know, I could see what a club can do if all are interested and do it. What do I get? I get probably about 5 at the most on our call-ins on the Wednesday night. Is that all the club is? 5 people? I mean, need to look back at it. I'm aware that not everybody could hop on a net all the time, but it's only once a week. One night a week for about an hour. And what do? We do a meeting once every 3 months. Maryborough Club does a meeting once a month. They have a second meeting on the odd fortnight where they do electronics, teaching, projects. You know, I didn't make it. I got everybody else to do it. On Channel 14, as I said, I had 14... I had more people on Channel 14 doing slow scan TV on UHFCB than what there was amateurs doing it in the town or around the area. How did they get a demodulator? Now, on Channel 14, we had a thing called, we held a weekly net. Yes, the same as what everybody else has, nets and all that, which is where we all gathered and all that. One of our projects, how to make a demodulator for SSTV, split up in individual parts. We first off gave them a parts list. Please jot this down and pick this up during the week. No problems. Part 1, the following week, part 1. Start building the demodulator. Start putting the components on there. Beforehand, the ones who weren't used to soldering, we done them a blooming cat cage. 10 lots of nails up one side, 10 lots of nails along the top, 10 lots of nails down the other side, 10 lots of nails on the other. Run a piece of wire backwards and forwards around those nails, you're going to cross them. Every join, solder it. Every join, desolder it. Do that until you get used to it. These are just kids, people. Right? We just made a project up, Okay, anyway. I think it was about 4 weeks or up. And we had the demodulator up and running. They could only, be SWLs, shortwave listeners, on radios, on the slow scan. And there was one slow scan program where you didn't require a license to operate it. It didn't need a call sign. It's no longer available. I think I've got a copy somewhere here of it. But it's no longer available. And the CBers, I gave them a copy of that. And we're throwing photos around everywhere. Same thing as I used to talk to the radio inspectors. I told them exactly what I was doing and all that. Their words to me was straight out, if we don't get a complaint, we're not going to worry about you. Fine, no problems. And as long as no one complained about what we were doing on that channel, they didn't worry about us because they knew what was happening there. Now, I tried to bring that in on a couple of places. As I said, the Maryborough mob, they got it. They bloomin', they went in hook, line and sinker. They got the whole bloomin' lot done. Every year they had to do a bloomin' 24-hour bike race. The amount of communications they had to go through, all the communication channels and all the other bits and pieces, everything they needed to bloomin', we had to be in contact with the police, the ambulance, the fire brigade, the whole bloomin' lot. It all had to come through our control centre. We supplied all the radios to all the marshals, the whole lot. It was all owned and everything by the club. And I can't get people to do a blooming simple thing of either get someone into a bloody park, put up a couple of antennas, and spend a day talking about radio and let them listen to people who could talk around the world. And let them actually have the opportunity of talking to people around the world because they're allowed to, with us being there. I mean, otherwise, how'd they do it with the Scouts and the Cubs? It's my radio, no one's touching it. Yeah, that's the kind of impression I get from them. Anyway, that's my little route. It's now gone for an hour and 45 minutes, or an hour and 40 minutes plus, say an hour and 41 minutes. Anyway, if someone's watching this and understands what I'm going through, put a like in there. Subscribe to the channel. You never know. One of the clubs which I've mentioned may improve. The other one might excel. The one I don't worry about excelling is the one who I know which I put up from scratch. The one which might improve is the one which might actually learn to listen. With that lot there, this is VK4 Golf Romeo Bravo Gary in Faryiryland. Also the provider of Zippy TV. Until the same time, whenever I decide to get on here and have a bloody waffle and go live stream, catch us all again. And if not, I'll see the locals who subscribe to me next Wednesday night. Bye for now.